Thank you for joining us today as we begin a discussion about the extreme heat that we're going to experience later this week and the concerns that we have, our county's response, and also the intersection that the heat will have with some of our 4th of July and 250th anniversary recognition events later this week. I will introduce each of our speakers. We're joined today by County Executive Mark Elrich, County Council President Natalie Fanny Gonzalez, our County Health Officer, Dr. Keisha Davis, our Director of the Office of Emergency Management, Homeland Security, Luke Hodgson, Montgomery County Police Department Assistant Chief, Dave McBain, Battalion Chief for Montgomery County Fire Rescue Service, Tony Scott, Director of our office, Montgomery County Department of Recreation, Gabe Albornoz, and we're also joined by our Director from Animal Services, Caroline Harefield, and I believe Councilwoman Kate Stewart also joined us as well this afternoon, sorry. So as you are likely aware at this point, we're looking to have historically high temperatures that could exceed 105 degrees heat index over the coming days, really beginning on Thursday and running potentially through as long as Sunday. Obviously, that poses a number of potential challenges for the county, both in addition to the extreme temperature, but also potential risks of severe weather, a strain on our electrical grid, which could result in power outages, and we have the 4th of July celebration, which typically many county offices would be closed on. Obviously, we're going to have to make sure that we address that so that there are cooling centers available. This heat dome has affected Western Europe last week. In France alone, there were about 1,000 excess deaths reported over a 3-day period. 85% of those deaths were in the population 65 years and older. And if you know anything about Montgomery County, the fastest growing demographic in Montgomery County is our aging population. So this is of particular concern to us here. So with that introduction, I'm going to turn it over for comments from our County Executive, Mark Elrich.
So thank you, and thank you all for being here today. 1919 was the last time that high temperatures reached over 100 degrees on the 4th of July in this region. Our county is going to have many people working this holiday, from police to fire to recreation employees, so everyone can celebrate the holiday. And I appreciate the sacrifices they're making and their role during what is going to be truly extreme heat. Understanding what this heat dome is, by definition, it's a high-pressure system that acts like a lid, trapping hot air over a region and blocking clouds that would otherwise provide cooling. Temperatures are expected to reach 102 or higher over several days. And these events are becoming more frequent, intense, and longer lasting due to climate change, which is why this is happening. Global temperatures have risen due to fossil fuel pollution, meaning the heat waves now start from a hotter starting point. It is really, that's a sad commentary on the president's policy, which is basically to focus on using as many fossil fuels as possible, knowing at the same time that this is one of the leading causes of heat increases. Global temperatures have risen due to the pollution, and rapid warming in the Arctic is weakening the jet stream, causing weather patterns to get stuck in place for days or weeks. Persistent heat dries out soil, reduces natural cooling effect of moisture evaporation, and intensifying the heat. And I feel for the farmers because they've had a lack of water. They have struggled with a late freeze, and now they're struggling with extreme heat. And so this could be a very difficult year for our farmers in the county. The recent global impacts are millions in Europe are experiencing temperatures over 104 degrees. Nighttime temperatures stayed high enough to prevent recovery, and record temperatures were shattered. The heat was to blame for more than 1,000 deaths across France, Germany, and elsewhere. And the World Health Organization issued a statement that said weather extremes that used to occur once a generation are now occurring every few years. So scientists have found that such extreme heat waves are now 200 times more likely than they were just 20 years ago. There are safety precautions and things you need to be prepared for. Hydration, drink plenty of water, stay hydrated, bring a bottle of water with you. Active management, bottle of water, aluminum, some metal, some glass, not plastic, because you don't want the plastic particles in your water anyway. Activity management, limit to strenuous activities like sports and gardening, ensure outdoor workers take more frequent breaks and have access to water. Never leave people or animals in a parked car. And pay extra attention to older adults and children and those living alone or without reliable air conditioning. Some apartments without air conditioning are going to get really hot, or houses without air conditioning are going to get really hot. So if you've got some senior neighbors on your block and you're not sure if they can manage all these things, please look out for them. And if you can help, I'm sure they will appreciate the help. If you don't have air conditioning, visit recreation centers or libraries, which are serving for our cooling centers right now. And there are going to be more details coming out about that from the other speakers. Movie theaters and malls are also recommended places to seek relief from heat. The future outlook, because climate change is making these events more severe, both government planning and community cooperation are essential for future safety. We're actively monitoring the situation and will respond however this comes out. While we all want to celebrate this milestone occasion for our nation, we don't want anyone pushing themselves too far, especially those older adults or anyone with heart or medical conditions. Finally, I want to turn this over to Council President Nadia Fani Gonzalez before we hear from our leaders from our Department of Health and Human Services, Emergency Management, and Recreation to talk about this week's Independence Day celebrations. So with that, I will turn it over to you. Over there.
Thank you, County Executive Mark Elrich. Again, my name is Natalie Fani Gonzalez, and as we are facing this upcoming heat wave, it's hard for me not to remember that only about a year ago, we witnessed how a baby who was left inside a car in Montgomery County died because of heat. It happens. And I think this is the time when we all need to be alert, making sure that we understand and remember where we're leaving our most vulnerable. That includes children, that includes seniors, that includes people with disabilities, and that includes us as neighbors, ensuring that we know how our neighbors are, especially when we know that in our communities we have people living by themselves. Let's check on them. I think this is the time when we show our humanity, when we face natural disasters, because I do consider this as a natural disaster. This extreme heat is nothing normal, and we need to be careful of how we should interact. As the county executive mentioned, yes, drinking water, being smart about, if I like to walk, let's just not do it during the day. Do it during the evening time if you want. Make sure that you're safe. Use common sense, but also I think I do want to emphasize once again, understanding that we need to look after each other, and understanding that even if you think, I'm going to leave my child in the car only for 2 minutes because I'm going to go and buy some milk, that 2 minutes can cost a child's life, because it has happened here in Montgomery County, and it can happen again. So please, let's be careful and be safe. So thank you. I'm going to turn it to you.
Thank you, County Executive Elrich and Madam County Council President Fani Gonzalez. Next up, we're going to hear from our County Health Officer, Dr. Keisha Davis.
Hi, good afternoon, everybody. As we approach the July 4th holiday, our community is looking forward to celebrating our nation's independence with family, friends, and parades and fireworks. But we do want to highlight this severe and potentially life-threatening extreme weather event that is coming our way. We are looking at this historic heat dome that will bring dangerous daytime temperatures. More importantly, we are facing record-breaking overnight lows. Because the temperature will stay in the high 70s to 80s at night, our bodies won't have the chance to cool down naturally. The heat stress will compound day after day. A few adjustments, and we are asking people to be mindful of your July 4th plans. If you're planning outdoor barbecues, games, family gatherings, consider shifting those to early or later in the day and really trying to avoid exposure during those peak hours from 11 to 4. I also want to issue a specific warning about our holiday beverages. Alcohol, soda, and caffeinated sugary drinks are dehydrating. If you're drinking alcohol or celebrating in the sun, you must alternate with water. A good rule of thumb is a full glass of water for every alcoholic beverage. Also, we want to remind folks, don't skimp on the sunscreen. Severe sunburn actually destroys your skin's ability to sweat and cool your body down and drastically increases your risk of heat stroke. I want to make sure that we are protecting our most vulnerable. Extreme heat impacts everyone, but it is lethal for some. We need to pay special attention to our high-risk populations, especially our infants, young children, pregnant individuals, older adults, and anyone with chronic medical conditions like heart or lung disease. I'm issuing a direct call to the community. Check on your neighbors. If you have an elderly neighbor or family member who lives alone or lacks air conditioning, check on them twice a day. A quick phone call or knock on the door can truly save a life. Don't forget your pets. Asphalt burns paws instantly in this heat, so keep your animals indoors and limit walks to the mornings and evenings and make sure they have plenty of fresh water. It's important and critical to know the difference between heat exhaustion and heat stroke. Heat exhaustion means your body is overheating. You will see heavy sweating, dizziness, headache, nausea, pale and clammy skin. If you or you are with someone who is experiencing this, move to a cool area immediately, loosen clothing, and sip on water. It's again important to note that alcohol and substances can blunt your body's ability to feel or notice these changes, so we want to maintain caution. Heat stroke, however, is a medical emergency and is life-threatening. If the body loses the ability to cool itself, symptoms include a body temperature over 103 degrees, hot, red, dry skin, they're not sweating, they don't feel sweaty, a rapid pulse, confusion, passing out, and sometimes even seizures. If you see someone experiencing this, call 911 immediately. Move them to the shade and cool them with wet cloths or ice. Do not force them to drink fluids. A final warning, we understand that when indoor temperatures pass 90 degrees, a standard electric fan will not protect you. It simply moves hot air around. You need air conditioning. As will be mentioned later, they will be opening municipal centers across the community. Take advantage of these areas. And a final reminder that we can't say enough, never under any circumstances leave a child, a vulnerable adult, or a pet in a parked car, not even for a quick errand. Temperatures inside a vehicle can reach fatal levels in just a few minutes. So I want everybody to have a safe, happy Independence Day, but more than that, we want everyone to be safe. Remember to prioritize hydration, look out for each other, and to take this heat seriously. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Davis. Next up, we have Luke Hodgson, our Director of the Office of Emergency Management and Homeland Security.
Thank you, Dr. Stoddard, and good afternoon. So as we are preparing for this extremely dangerous near-record or record heat that will arrive tomorrow and persist through Saturday, we are also expecting record levels of electricity usage during the heat, which threatens our electrical infrastructure. With the heat comes the risk of severe storms, and during the heat, those storms could produce tremendous winds, as we've seen in the past, and that can also threaten our electrical infrastructure. All of this coincides with a number of July 4th festivities and events, as well as family and friend gatherings, and those who are attending are at the heightened risk of heat exposure. The county has been busy preparing. We're coordinating across the county and community agencies to increase services such as cooling centers. We plan to have multiple cooling centers that are available to those who need them, and we'll be providing more details on those as well as hours of operation within the next day. We are also working closely with our neighbors, the state, and our federal partners in preparation. We're collaborating with our utility partners to plan for increased demand and any threats to infrastructure as well as contingencies for outages. We're working with numerous event organizers to make adjustments as needed, and as of tomorrow, we'll activate our extreme temperature plan. We're continuing to push messaging throughout the community for heat and storm preparedness, and we're operating out of our Public Safety Joint Operations Center along with Fire and Rescue and Police to manage the events as well as any emergencies that come. And as I mentioned, this is a quadruple threat. We have the life-threatening heat, we have the demands on our power system that could cause disruption, we have possibly severe storms coming, and we have special events throughout the community. We're taking all of this very seriously, and we ask that you do too, by taking a few steps to protect yourselves and your families. And we ask you to make a plan, make a kit, stay informed, and get involved. Make a plan by planning to stay inside for several days. Don't go out if you don't have to. If you must go out, limit your time outside, make sure you hydrate, work in the shade, and take frequent breaks. Take into account any special needs that you have or your family has, such as medications, medical equipment, special diet, and of course your pets. And be prepared if you lose power. Keep your devices charged. Have a flashlight with extra batteries. Never use candles. If you use a generator, keep it at least 20 feet from any structure. Have a plan to go to a friend or relative's house, or a cooling center, or like we said, go visit the mall, take in a movie, or maybe even a restaurant. Next, we ask you, as with all emergency preparedness, to make a kit, so make sure your emergency kit is ready. Anything that you and your family would need for 3 days should be in that kit. So you should think of non-perishable food, water, medications, baby items such as formula and diapers, pet food, chargers and battery-powered devices, flashlights, and any hygiene items. We have checklists for all of these kits on our website, and you can go to Montgomery County, Maryland /OEMHS to gather those checklists. Stay informed. The Alert Montgomery system provides accurate and immediate emergency notifications from Montgomery County to your cell, your work, your home phones via text, email, or voice message. You can receive notifications about emergencies that affect your home, workplace, your child's school, or any other location in Montgomery County. You can sign up for Alert Montgomery by going to any browser and searching Alert Montgomery and following the steps. Also, I encourage you to follow all of the county agencies on social media for up-to-date information on events and the services that we're providing. And of course, pay close attention to forecast. While we're not right now forecasting any specific storms, the nature of this weather is that we have some severe pop-up storms, so it's important that you maintain vigilance at all times. And lastly, as we've talked about, get involved. Check on your neighbors, your friends, your family, and especially those who are elderly or otherwise vulnerable. Report any unsafe conditions you see. If you see someone outside without a home, please call 911. Do not be an emergency is the last thing I'd ask you to be. So stay out of the weather if you can. And I would encourage everyone to visit our website, not for just the tips that I've talked about today, but tips on preparing for any sort of threat or hazard that we have in our community. Again, you can search us for Office of Emergency Management and Homeland Security in Montgomery County, and you'll find a great deal of tools there. I hope everyone has a happy and safe Independence Day, and be careful out there.
Thank you, Director Hodgson. Next up, we'll hear from Montgomery County Police Department Assistant Chief Dave McBain.
Good afternoon. I think for everyone who spoke before me, they said it best, and I'm not going to repeat what the county executive said and what Ms. Davis said, and obviously Director Hodgson. But check on your neighbors and be aware of your surroundings and people that may look distressed in the community. Oftentimes, the police department, along with fire and rescue, are like the first line of defense for responding out to emergencies. So if you do find yourself where you're trying to check on a neighbor, whether they're elderly or a vulnerable adult, and you're not having luck, but you just have that feeling, absolutely call the police department. We can come out, and there's things that we can do to actually gain entry into the house to check their welfare. So there's things that we can do as a law enforcement agency to help keep everybody safe through this heat wave. And in addition, we're fully staffed. There's going to be obviously an increase in staff on the 4th of July at our fireworks displays and other celebrations. But we will be out in the community, and along with Health and Human Services, our crisis response teams are aware of the unhoused individuals in the community. We maintain, kind of a relationship with them to the point where we know if something doesn't look right, or and we'll check their welfare as we make our way through this week, and ensure that they get the assistance or the relief that they need to come off the street. So thank you.
Thank you, Assistant Chief McBain. Next up, we have EMS Battalion Chief Tony Scott from Montgomery County Fire Rescue Service.
Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. The fire and rescue service is going to be fully staffed over the weekend. We've added some extra staffing for some special units to make sure that the heat has as limited impact as it can on our residents and our visitors. Once again, please look out for each other. If you see someone that's, if you see a person showing signs of the heat exhaustion, heat stroke, please reach out to 911. Let the fire department come out, take a look at them, check them out, transport them if is needed. Once again, hydrate today so that you don't have to take a ride in the ambulance tomorrow. Once again, if you see a animal or a child locked in a car, call 911 right away. This heat is very deadly for people that are stuck in vehicles. The fire department is very good at gaining access to vehicles when there's someone trapped. Please, just guys, look out for each other, look out for everyone else.
Thank you, Battalion Chief Scott. And our final speaker for this afternoon is Gabe Albornoz, the director of our Montgomery County Department of Recreation.
Good afternoon, good people. Thank you, Dr. Stoddard. Thank you to all of our previous speakers. So I am here to talk about two things with regards to the Montgomery County Department of Recreation. First is our operation over the next several days. As was noted earlier, recreation centers serve as cooling facilities for people that need them. We have completely normal hours of operation between now and Thursday, and we will have modified hours of operation on Friday and Saturday. Very shortly before the end of today, the county will announce the location of cooling centers that residents will be able to attend on Friday and Saturday that will be dispersed throughout the entire county. Our outdoor and indoor pools will also be open through Thursday, and our outdoor pools will be open through Saturday. So that is another space that families and residents can go to find some reprieve from these oppressive temperatures that we're all going to experience over the next several days. The second thing I'm here to talk about is our 4th of July celebrations. And our first event will be held as scheduled with a slight adjustment on Friday, July 3rd, which will be held at Einstein High School. Rather than starting at 7 o'clock, we will be starting at 7:30 p.m. to allow a little bit of extra time for reprieve from the weather conditions. Shuttle buses will begin from Westfield Mall at 7 p.m., and the fireworks will go off at 9:30. We are doing everything possible to ensure a safe and secure event for all of the county residents that want to come and celebrate the county's 250-year celebration on Friday, July 3rd, and we are working with all of our first responders and all of our partner organizations to ensure that safety. But we do ask, as you have heard from a number of the speakers, that we use common sense to ensure that people bring water, wear loose clothes, and if you do have a health condition that impacts you as a result of the heat, then we encourage you to watch the show from home. We will also have an event on Saturday, July 4th at the Germantown Soccerplex. That event will also begin at 7:30 p.m. The event in Einstein typically attracts over 14,000 county residents, and the event at the Soccerplex typically attracts over 40,000 county residents. We do anticipate that there will be larger numbers this year, weather pending, because we have heard from a number of families through social media boards that they're not planning on going downtown and want to stay a little bit closer to home for celebrations. And so we will be prepared for everyone to come and enjoy themselves. We're going to have great music. These are free events. It's important to note that no alcohol is allowed at either of these particular events. People will be able to bring coolers with non-alcoholic beverages to be able to stay hydrated. We will be passing out free fans at both events as well. And of course, the event on Friday, July 3rd is a partnership with our friends from Montgomery History who will have various activities to reflect on the county's 250-year celebration. We thank all of our partner agencies for making this possible. I was reminded this morning by our team that the last time we canceled our 4th of July fireworks, and the only time we canceled, was during the derecho in 2012. And at this point, we do not have plans to adjust beyond what I've already mentioned, But please stay tuned, because obviously if weather conditions change or if thunderstorms arise, then we may need to make additions. We send out messages through Alert Montgomery. You can go through mocorec.com, and all of the other Montgomery County communications channels will have information as well. Very quickly in Spanish. Quiero anunciar que los eventos del 3 de julio y 4 de julio para celebrar la independencia del país y del condado van a seguir adelante, pero en vez de empezar a las 7 de la noche, van a empezar a las 7:30. Empezando a las 7 sí vamos a tener buses que van a venir de Westfield Mall en Wheaton, que son gratis. Y los fuegos artificiales van a empezar a las 9:30 de la noche. Va a ser mucho calor, así que por favor traigan agua y refrescos y estamos aquí para servir la comunidad. Muchas gracias. Thank you all very much.
Thank you, Director Albornoz. Before we take questions, I'm going to actually invite Carolyn Harefield up, Director of Animal Services, to see if she has a few comments she wanted to make.
Thank you so much. Thank you for being here. I'm Caroline Harefield. I'm the Director for the Office of Animal Services. You know, heat advisories like this are really a serious medical emergency for animals, specifically, well, all animals, but especially animals that don't sweat, like your dogs, your cats. And those are usually the ones that we see the most problems with. Leaving animals in the car, cars can get within 10 minutes with your windows down in 80-degree weather can reach temperatures that are deadly for our pets. Deadly. This is an emergency. So if you're planning your 4th of July events and you thought that you wanted to bring your pets, don't. Leave them at home where they're safe in an air-conditioned area. If they have to be outside, don't leave your dog houses out in the sun. Put them somewhere where it's shady. Make sure they have plenty of cool, fresh water. And if you do see an animal locked in a car, it is a medical emergency. Every second, every minute counts. Call 911. The police will be dispatched. They can get in the car. We will be dispatched. We can get that animal to safety. So if you see something, say something. Have a safe holiday. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Harefield. So just to reiterate a few points, so our county facilities will be under normal operating hours on Wednesday, Thursday, and Sunday. We will be announcing more clearly later today the county facilities that will be open on Friday and Saturday for use as cooling centers. As a reminder, we are calling on all of our residents to please look out for one another. As I mentioned in the beginning, there were over 1,000 excess deaths in Western Europe. We don't expect anything like that in Montgomery County, but we want people to be cautious, look out for one another, and look out for people who you know are vulnerable. Please, if this is your first time, for example, thinking about hiking the Billy Goat Trail this weekend, not the weekend to pick that up, okay? So our first responders are going to be available to help people in need. Allow them to focus on the people who are most vulnerable amongst us. We need people who can show a little bit of discretion and caution to please do so. Okay, I'm going to stop there and we'll take questions for anyone behind me here. Sir?
I was going to ask, what's your message to those who might be visiting lakes or who might be in the water this weekend? I know maybe the chief or
You
assistant chief wanted to talk on that too.
You want to start? Yeah, sure.
Sure, sir. That's a very great question. Obviously, water safety is a very timely topic. Try and stay in like pools. Try and stay in bodies of water that are guarded, such as pools, recreational lakes. Swimming is not allowed in the river, in the Potomac River. Please do not swim in that river. It can be extremely dangerous. We have loss of life every single year from that river. Please stay out of the river if you're swimming. It is not for swimming. We have like absolutely great county like pools, local pools, recreational areas. Swim over there, hang out there. Do not go swimming in the Potomac River, please.
Just to add to something Chief Scott was alluding to there. With our ponds, our lakes, and other facilities that are not really intended for swimming, you do not know what's underneath the water as well. We've seen situations where people have jumped into bodies of water thinking that it was deeper than it was, and there is a piece of infrastructure for stormwater management, for example, directly under the water, and they've hit and seriously injured themselves. So use the intended spaces for swimming to swim in. Do not use the unintended places to swim in. That is not something we recommend doing. Thank you. Next. Here. So I know that in our Department of Health and Human Services, in our adult protective services, I think there are additional fans for seniors that they have targeted for that. But I don't think we have the same fans as a general giveaway that I'm aware of this year. We don't. So I know that I don't know. Yeah. Okay. I was going to say we're gonna have tabled events out, but I don't think we're going to be giving out emergency kits this weekend. Unfortunately, a lot of those were funded with grants that have since been retracted by the federal government. I'll throw in that aside, but important note.
And Aging and Disability Services is going out and contacting all of the vulnerable seniors that are on their radar and checking in with them before the heat to make sure they've got what they need and that type of thing.
Thank you, Mary. She has a little bit of expertise in health and human services. Mike.
So talk a bit about the decision when it comes to when fireworks should continue, when the parades that maybe are under county control, we have like parades that are happening. Talk a bit more about the decision making when it comes to when you might call something like that off.
Yeah.
Sure. Recreation participates in numerous calls with all of our county officials, so we never make a decision like that in isolation. It starts with 3 layers. Number one, do we have the staff in place to be able to actually carry out the program safely? So the reason the 4th of July was canceled in 2012 during the derecho actually wasn't because of the storm itself. The 4th of July fell on the 5th day after the derecho had hit. But at that point, there were so many traffic lights that were still out that a number of first responders were literally just helping people get through intersections, and we didn't have the appropriate staffing infrastructure. So that's the first issue, staffing. The second is the weather itself. We will have a call that morning with the National Weather Service, thanks to our colleagues in OEMS, that will give us information in real time. Thunderstorms are non-negotiable. That is when we absolutely will not be able to move forward. And because we are adjusting, and this is a heat-only event, past dusk, we anticipate that the temperatures, while will be uncomfortable and absolutely will be hot, they won't reach those same dangerous levels that they will during the course of the entire day. So those are the factors that go into our decision-making on whether or not we close. And we will notify everyone with as much advance notice as possible if we decide to do so. But at this point, we don't have plans to close.
And are you working with other communities too, with guidance there? There are some smaller towns that they can do that.
Great question. So the city of Rockville will be having their 4th of July celebration the same weekend, and the town of Poolesville will also have events, and there are also private events. Our country clubs, and there are other private homeowners associations that have 4th of July events. The city of Tacoma Park does a big parade, and they all make their own independent decisions, but we will make available to them access information from the National Weather Service so that they can make the call on their own and be informed.
Shelley?
I was just wondering if someone could speak to any specific advice for folks who may be working outside in the heat over the next few days?
So certainly we want our folks who are in the heat to take precaution, staying well hydrated even before they're on the job. I think a key indicator is once you feel thirsty, you are already dehydrated. So you want to be proactive about that, getting water and electrolytes. Wearing light clothing, we know that some of our workers outside still need to have long sleeves for protection, but again, monitoring the symptoms. We also want to caution our workers who are outside to look out for each other, to make sure that they are keeping an eye on their coworkers if someone seems to be impaired, confused, not sweating, any of those things that are emergencies. We do want to remind folks that workers, that they do have rights. They have rights to take a break. They have rights to have access to fluids and water. And so we want to make sure that the community of workers who has to continue to work outside is taking those precautions to be safe. Thank you.
And I'll just add, it's really incumbent upon not just the workers themselves, but the people who employ them to be looking out for their safety as well, providing shaded places. I think, you know, we operate the transfer center, for example, for recycling. We're going to make sure there are cooling vests for people. They have frequent breaks, water, things of that nature. So we do know that obviously some work outdoors, we want to minimize it to the extent possible. Some of it does need to happen. And in places where it does need to happen, it really is incumbent upon everybody, the worker and the supervisor and the organization that's running the activity, to ensure that everyone has access and has opportunity. And really, you have to make sure that people are taking breaks frequently, drinking water, all those things. So, Brett?
We get heat waves from time
Yep.
to time. It gets hot in the summer. What's the combination of factors here that's prompted you guys to do this? Is it people aren't going to go downtown? Fireworks are so late downtown. The holiday. What really has concerned you guys to prompt you to do this?
Sure, Brad. There's a combination of things that are going on with this one. Obviously, this is, as Director Hodgson alluded to, this is likely to be record or near record for 4th of July, number one. Number two, as I alluded to before, our population, we have a number of individuals, whether aging or otherwise, who have underlying health conditions. COVID taught us a lot of lessons about that. In addition, we do anticipate a significant number of individuals who will not want to go down to the district and will be staying at our county events, and that will create all kinds of situations where the lines may be longer, there may be longer waits to get people in, and we may reach capacity at pools, for example, faster. And so obviously all of those things are our concern. But at the end of the day, obviously this was a good opportunity at the beginning of a summer for people to understand that our climate is changing. The hazards that we are facing on a more regular basis are increasing. And therefore, we need people to think not treat this as it was 20 years ago, where it's a heat wave that may come and go. The temperatures are more extreme. We're in the middle of a drought, which is likely to exacerbate the feeling of the temperatures on the ground. And we need people to understand that this is a trend that we need to adapt to the extent we can to. Anyone want to add? Mike.
One more for me. So, you know, when you hear during these sort of events, you hear from different communities maybe saying that their AC's out and they're coming to you guys. Do you put any more staffing in place for those sort of calls during these sort of events, and how will that work out?
As you may be aware, Mike, back in 2020, I believe the County Council enacted law that requires in rental units air conditioning. And our Department of Housing and Community Affairs enforces that regulation. And so if anyone loses, air conditioning in their unit, they're encouraged to contact 311, and we will have enforcement agents that will be available, to make sure that we go out and enforce those. Now, obviously, it takes, we work with things break. And so as long as there's not negligence there, we're going to work with the landlord to try and address the problem as quickly as possible. And if we run into a situation, for example, where a building is deemed uninhabitable because of the temperatures, that's when the county will step in and provide an emergency alternative. Yeah.
We're always stressing on air about, animals and maybe testing and this kind of thing. What is the protocol if someone is to see that they're, they see pets that are outside and it's heat and nobody seems to be around watering them and then watering?
Sure. So it's important if we see something, say something. So extreme heat for animals, especially without water, is very, very critical. So if you see an animal in distress, call 911 and we'll respond. If you're not sure if they're in distress or you don't think they're in distress, but you're seeing that they're out there with no water, then call the non-emergency number and an animal control officer will still respond 24/7. So, thank you.
All right. Thank you all. Please help us get this message out there. We want our residents to be safe and have a good 4th of July, but we want them to do so without causing themselves injury. So thank you. I can do it.